down, shake it down. And that's what will happen when you give love, when you give peace, when you give joy. When you give whatever it is that you're looking for, the Lord will give it to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, not that gum guarantee it will be running over. And then Jesus in the parable of the man who gave out the talents, he said the man gave talents and everybody that brought back something. He told him, he said, you've been faithful over a few things. Now let me make you rule over many. You want that promotion. You want to move higher. You want to go to the next level. You've got to be faithful over what God has placed you in charge of now. Y'all will get that later. I won't oversimplify that. I won't oversimplify it. I'll just say again, Jesus showed us how to get to the next level. The third thing Jesus did is Jesus served where no other sacrifice could serve. See, we were born with a sin nature and we've trespassed throughout our life. And in the Old Testament, they were given certain offerings for sins. They had to give certain offerings for trespasses. And Jesus served as that final sacrifice. That sacrifice that no other could, because there was going to come a day when we were going to be run out of pigeons, bullocks, and turtle doves. Pure rams were no longer going to exist. We would have made them extinct by now because of our sinfulness, because of the trespasses we commit. See, the word trespass in Hebrew is asham, and it means guilt. It denotes being guilty of infringing or violating the rights of others, whether it be God or man. Whether the trespass is accidental or intentional, it carries a penalty. The penalty in Hebrew is called kareth, and it means to be cut off. And then there were certain reparations that went along with the trespass that had to be made, certain sacrifices, and then certain separations, and it was based on what had been done in order for there to be a restoration. The trespass offering is the final Levitical sacrifice required of the Israelite. It is the final sacrifice required of the people of God. Although the trespass offering is similar to the sin offering, there are a number of differences. For the sin offering deals with sin against God, whereas the trespass offering emphasizes sin against God and man. The sin offering deals with the nature of sin. The trespass offering, it emphasizes the acts of sin. The sin offering deals with the guilt of the sinner. Meanwhile, the trespass offering emphasizes injury against both God and man. The sin offering deals with atonement or expiation of guilt, whereas the trespass offering emphasizes satisfaction and reparation for the wrong that had been committed. Let's use David for an example. King David. It was sinful for David to be on that roof looking over there at Bathsheba, lusting after her. David inquiring about Bathsheba and sending for her was sinful. That was nature. That was in his heart. That it was not a commitment yet. That was sinful. But everything he did after that was trespassing. That's why in the 12th chapter of 2 Samuel, the prophet Nathan, when he had his talk with David, Nathan talked to him in a parable. He said there was a rich man and there was a poor man in the same town. This rich man had herds of cattle and herds of sheep. And yet this poor man only had one ewe lamb, one female lamb. And that lamb meant the world to that poor man. And one day, the rich man had the urge to entertain. He had company to come from out of town, and he wanted to entertain the company. Instead of getting one of those cattle or sheep from his herd, he went out there and got the poor man's sheep for himself. David got big mad. David said, hold on, who is this man? He want to know who was the man. The man needs to be correct. The man should be cut off. And he has to pay reparations 4 times over for what he had done. David was mad. He said, who is this man? Tell me, I'm going to make sure he paid. Nathan said, you the man. You the man. We got to be careful when we judge and we pronounce judgment on people. Because that may be the very sin we're committing to and just haven't realized it. Why, that may be our trespass. That's why in his plea for forgiveness in the 51st Psalm, David says, cast me not away from thy presence and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. He knew the penalty for what he had done was to be cut off. He knew what the penalty was when he had to talk with Nathan, because Nathan told him that the child was going to die after birth for what he had done. Sleeping with another man's wife, getting this woman pregnant, sleeping with her while she was cleansing from her monthly impurity. Having the man killing him. So he was the king. He sent him out to the front line. Everything he did was so wrong, he had to pay reparation for that in order to be restored. Let me give it to you another way, and I'm going to get on out of here. See, hunters sometimes end up on private grounds. Some of them do it by accident, and some do it even though they see the sign that says private property. Trespassers will be prosecuted. By crossing over the line, that's where trespassing happens, when you cross the line. By crossing over the line or the fence, they are now guilty of violating the property rights of another. And they can now either have the